More details are revealed in regard to the fallout between Canelo and Plant, and some interesting changes on behalf of the WBC that look rather promising. Lastly, Leigh Wood and Eddie Hearn are crossing their fingers and hoping that the WBA strips Leo Santa Cruz of his title, but we'll get into all that. Let's start off with the very first thing I mentioned, and that's Canelo and Plant. Apparently, according to Steve Kim, he had the following to say in regard to one of the reasons why the fight fell through, and it's in regard to the clause involving Canelo facing someone else for $40 million in case that Plant got injured for September 18th. The replacement foe had to be agreed upon by both sides. If not, Canelo was free to walk away, but he couldn't just face anybody, meaning that it made it very difficult for Canelo to agree upon it because of how gray it is. Say Caleb Plant does get injured or does get sick for whatever reason during his fight camp or right before the fight, now Canelo would have to face the fighter that was agreed upon by both parties and effectively extend his PBC stay one more fight in order for him to finish up and push through with a unification fight against Plant, and that's something that's going completely against what Canelo was looking forward to as a free agent. Nevertheless, more and more details are coming out, so I'm pretty interested to see where this is all headed, especially because Canelo versus Plant could still be pushed back, and it could effectively be moved from September 18th and put on a later date, and I hope they do head that route. Moving on, the WBC has a few concepts about improving their judging, and the following was stated under Michael Benson's account, so make sure you guys follow that Twitter account. The WBC has announced their new Q&Q judging system, which is designed to address boxing scoring controversy, and it goes as such. The WBC has worked long and hard to develop a new concept to bring judges to the highest level of performance, which can only be achieved if a complex process of in theory and practical training is carried out with performance measurements, evaluations, and feedback, understanding that there has to be accountability for one actions and performance. The WBC Ring Officials Committee, led by Dwayne Ford, and the participants of many members such as, and they went on to state numerous names, and many others around the world, have worked in an exemplary way to bring a concept to fruition, the Q&Q, or the quantitative and qualitative system. Basically, it is getting the judges to rate each round with numerical values accompanied by a margin of victory for that round, having 4 categories, which is C for close, M for moderate, D for decisive, ED for extreme decisive. 94% of rounds are scored 10-9 in boxing. It is very difficult to see a judge score 10-10, even in very close rounds, and at the end they just pick a winner. It is also very difficult to see them scoring 10-8 without a knockdown, so the round is 10-9 regardless of whether it was won by trivial punches or it was a real beating. The Q&Q is getting the judges to maximize their focus, their concentration, and improve their performance. Many judges are consistently scoring their fights using the WBC remote scoring system, and thus week after week they are subject to training and evaluation. Such systems have been flawlessly worked with the important collaboration and support of Matt Podarsky. The goal is that no judge is more than 2 spots apart from each other. For example, if one judge scores a round 10-9 C and the other scores it 10-9 M, that's fine. Both saw the same winner and one judge saw it closer than the other moderate, but if a judge scores it at 10-9 D, that is decisive. There are already 2 degrees of separation, thus we need to review their performance in detail. So clear definition of levels. A close 10-9 round would look like such: when a boxer has won the round by a narrow margin over his opponent. When comparing the punches landed, a couple of effective punches could turn the fight in either direction. So basically, if the round is very close and there's only a few punches that differentiate between them, this would be a 10-9 C round. Moderate is when a boxer has won the round by a clear margin over his opponent. When comparing scored punches, the winner was ahead by more than a couple of effective punches landed and could not have changed without significant impact. So basically, the fighter was able to outland his opponent. There were cleaner or crisper punches, but it was nothing excessive to the point where one of the fighters was taking a beating. Decisive round is when a boxer has won by a wide margin of victory over his opponent. By comparing the scoring punches, the winner of the round has won convincingly. So basically, this is when pretty much the fighter has dominated his opponent in the sense of landing more punches. He was more effective, and it was clear to see who won this round. Now, extremely decisive is when a boxer has won the round by total dominance and significantly outperformed his opponent. the winner dominated and staggered the other in extreme fashion. And this usually goes to say when a fighter gets hurt so badly and he almost touches the ground and he barely escapes the round, he barely makes it into the next. This is what is seen as an extremely decisive 10-8 round. We're just starting the process of implementing the system at a global level. We will have natural resistance to change, but surely, at least within the activity of the WBC, it'll be the new standard of judging, and I think this is a definite step in the right direction. And like it states in the article, if there is 2 degrees of separation between one judge and the other, they could look into that judge a little bit closer. Like, let's say for example 2 judges score a round 10-9 C, which was a close round, but both sides go the same way, and on the other hand, the third judge sees it as a 10-9 round decisive for the other fighter. Now that sole judge is going to be investigated and looked into because he is seeing a completely different fight than the other judges, and this makes any biases a little bit more visible to the general public depending on the judges, and hopefully we are able to see some actual improvements. Lastly, I want to talk about Eddie Hearn and Leigh Wood, and they're trying to push for the WBA to essentially strip Leo Santa Cruz from his WBA super featherweight world title in order for Leigh Wood to become the full-blown premier world champion at that division for the WBA sanctioning body. And this pretty much stems from Santa Cruz not having defended that title since 2019, and Leigh Wood, who has recently beat Su Shan, should pretty much be the world champion, and unfortunately for him, due to all the politics, all the belts that are just thrown around, he is not. And it's pretty ridiculous that, again, Leo Santa Cruz hasn't fought in 2 years or so, and he is still considered the world champion at 126 per the WBA. I would love to see Leigh Wood versus Leo Santa Cruz. However, I really think that'd be a great fight. I think that Leo Santa Cruz still has quite a bit left in the tank, and Leigh Wood is at his peak. I think a fight between him and Leo Santa Cruz makes plenty of sense, especially because Leigh Wood deserves that world title. I hope that they're able to consolidate the WBA titles in order for us to have at least one clear WBA world champion at the division. This is quite ridiculous, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, I hope that Leigh Wood gets that opportunity. And again, I think he is a fun and exciting fighter to watch. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm so grateful you guys were able to tune in. What do you guys think about the whole Caleb Plant and Canelo situation and all this news that's slowly coming to the light? Also, let me know your thoughts on the whole WBC debacle and their new judging methods. Do you think it's going to work out? Does it overcomplicate things, or does it make it a little bit more clean, concise, and a little bit more transparent to see who is the judges that are potentially corrupting our sport? Lastly, Leo Santa Cruz, should he be stripped? Should he not? Or should he be thrown in there with Leigh Wood and see who is the real WBA featherweight champion, and who would you root for in that fight? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to stay up to date on all the videos that I drop. Thanks again for tuning in. Y'all stay blessed. Like always, this is Shay at KMB signing out.